And the Sunset Fire in the Hollywood Hills tonight has stopped at its rapid spread. It now stands at 60 acres and mandatory evacuations are still in place. But a new spot fire in Studio City burned multiple homes Wednesday night, and firefighters are still putting out hot spots. Our Madisen Keavy is there. Madison, what's the latest with that situation?
A very different scene here now than what we saw 3 or 4 hours ago, even at the end of last night, because there was about a dozen fire engines here, 50 personnel, all working on this 4-story home that caught fire from the inside, and then that fire spread to brush in those neighboring homes. So the scene now, though, is still active. There is still work being done because that fire in that collapse hit a gas line, and that's where you see those flames coming out of the top of what's left of one of these structures. Just within the last 30 minutes, SoCal Gas is here on scene. We're told trying to stop the gas in that gas line so that they can finally get a handle on the flames that have been coming out of that nonstop for at least the last hour. Earlier, we saw helicopters dropping water. We saw multiple fire engines, and the scene is wide. The video of this home completely engulfed in flames, then collapsing live on our air tonight. Of course, again, 50 personnel. I talked to a neighbor who says within a few minutes of smelling the fire and then seeing it, there were at least 2 engines here. This is a winding road in the hills, and they really filled it with those personnel, just pumping water on this from the sky, from the sides of the structure, and then from the ground shooting up at it. That same neighbor I just mentioned said, tonight he thought would be relaxing, especially considering the area. He had the news on, was watching other fires in different areas of the region. His son was at their home here in Studio City, evacuating from where he lives. And then, of course, this scene. Here's a little bit of how his night started and where it went.
Most people didn't know that we even had a fire here because they're focused on other things. And all of a sudden, it just erupts. And within probably 2 minutes, I saw 2 trucks coming up. It was a great reaction or response time. I'm just surprised it happened tonight because we had no wind. It was a quiet night. It wasn't like the winds we had yesterday. Everybody was more relaxed, in this area at least. And we were watching the fires in other areas when all of a sudden this thing erupts.
He talked about the surprise and also the relief because his house is just a few yards away from where we're standing, of course, from where that fire burned. And the relief in that the number of engines that came, the number of fire personnel with everything else going on tonight. He said he felt relieved tonight. He said he was glad to know that his neighbors were okay. He said he talked to the owners of that house. There were no injuries reported here tonight. And of course, the cause of that fire is still under investigation. But it looks like crews are going to be here at least for a little while longer because, again, it's that gas pipe that's causing still those flames coming out of this that they're just dumping that water on.
Yeah, and when you look at least the silver lining of this all, the Sunset Fire, I know where you were at moments before rushing over here, they had water dropping helicopters there or aircraft there, so they were able to bring those quickly over here, and I can imagine that really helped firefighters in this firefight. But Madison, any indication if the gas company is going to be out there, or are they already out there at this point?
Yeah, so within like the last 30, 45 minutes here, the SoCal Gas truck just pulled up, and I'm like actually kind of looking because earlier they were getting some line out. Looks like now they're kind of getting into position to respond to that, and they were kind of waiting on that. One of the firefighters told me as they kind of headed out that they were waiting for the gas company to get here tonight. And that's really the main, I'd say, issue right now that they're having, he says, of putting this out. So again, timeline he couldn't give me on, we're going to be here for another hour, 2 hours. He couldn't give me that. He just said once that gas line is cut and safe, they feel like they'll be able to actually put this out for good, at least, into the morning a bit.
Yeah, when we saw that home, just collapse, we saw other little spot fires around the area. Didn't see, I think we saw 2 homes at least gone, but are you hearing about any more damage to homes, any smoke damage, anything like that?
No, not specifically yet, and it's just been difficult to get down in those homes because those homeowners were evacuated. I talked to neighbors on the other side of the hill here in this neighborhood, and they raced down to kind of see where this was going as it was spreading, because at first, of course, when that brush fire started and it started spreading to the homes around that original home that we saw collapse, there was concern of we needed to move on this quickly because these homes, as many hill neighborhoods are close together and they're typically connected by vegetation. And so getting on that quickly was a concern for other neighbors, and even people that have lived in this neighborhood for over a decade tonight. We just talked to one, and they actually couldn't even piece together what they were looking at tonight, just simply because of the damage, as well as it being dark. And so from there, tomorrow, I think when the sun comes up, there's going to be a much clearer picture of the extent of this damage, because even neighbors that see this every day, are asking us, well, what, I can't tell, is this that house? Is this that house? So there's even confusion with people who see it every day.
Wow. Well, that's good to know, because, yeah, we've been trying to decipher all that from maps and just looking from SkyCal. So thanks so much.